What's up, guys? We're gonna try something a little different today. I got blessed with this gas L8T GMC Sierra 2500 AEV edition, and this Ram 2500 Rebel has a 6.4 liter HEMI. We're gonna compare these trucks, but then we're gonna do a quick MPG run. So let's go ahead and drive the GMC first, and then we're gonna come back and drive the Ram, and then we're gonna discuss which is the better buy. Let's get into this. One thing you'll notice when you hop in one of these is how tall it is. The GMC Sierra 2500 AT4Xs do have an 1.5 inch lift. They have the DSSV, which is a dynamic suspension spool valve, and with the tires, it basically gives this truck like a 2-inch lift. And you can tell that the truck sits a little bit higher compared to the stock Sierra HDs. Now, having this gas engine, I have to admit to you guys something. This engine is like, it's a beast when it comes down to having to lug along this heavy truck. This is a heavy truck, which you'll see here in a second. It's like a little bit over 8,000 pounds. So I know how this is gonna go with the drive, for sure. I know how it's gonna go, but that's okay. But I think that GM has some opportunities to really bring some options to the table. I really think they can add some upgrades to this engine, for sure. Now, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys the 0 to 60 really quickly, and I'm gonna do the quick MPG run, as I said, and then I'm gonna hop back in the Ram. I'll go over all the numbers at the end of the video, so just stay tuned. Hopefully traffic is not too bad, because if it is, that could affect us a little bit on this test, but it's okay. We'll get through it.
$30. $60.
I don't have to say anything about that, but yeah, 10.9 seconds for 0 to 60. Woo! It's pretty bad. And that's because this truck is 8,000 pounds. But man, it looks so good. This is a good looking pickup truck. I think it's the best looking one on the market, and the more aggressive bumpers just complete the look. I did a video on this truck separately, and I talked about how now you can get these bumpers on any of your Chevy HD, GMC HD from the 2020 on, I believe. I know for 2024 on you can, but maybe not the 2023 and earlier pickups. But for 2024 plus, AEV has the bumpers. They're $5,300 just for the bumpers out front, and they're like $3 grand for the ones out back. So they're not cheap at all. But as I said, this truck still handles pretty good. When you're just cruising at highway speeds, you don't know how slow this truck is. It is a slow truck though. It does feel slow, and it's because this higher elevation does affect this 6.6 liter L8T. I own this truck, and I got actually about the same 0 to 60 when I did the test with that truck too, and it was lighter, I believe, than this one by a little bit. At 70 miles an hour, here is the RPMs. We're like a little bit above 1,500. 10-speed transmission, pretty deep gears. Let's check out the Ram. You know, this is something that you probably will never notice unless you drive these trucks back to back. This 6.4 liter HEMI just seems more burly. I don't know what it is. Less displacement, but man, Chrysler, they may not know how to make transmissions, but they know how to make engines, for sure. Now this truck is lighter, even if these were apples to apples, because this was missing a few options. It didn't have the power to pulp running boards or the level 2 equipment group. There's a few things that you could still add on to this. Like you can put a front winch on this truck. We'll talk about that. But this one just feels more peppy. Now that's in part to smaller cab, smaller bed. This might be just the more fun truck to buy. And with the starting price, it's a lot cheaper too. Now that starting price has cloth seats, and you don't have like a lot of amenities that you saw in that AT4X, like for the interior. That interior is like the best in the off-road segment for these trucks for sure. But I gotta show you guys the 0 to 60. I can't wait to see the difference between the two trucks, because that to me is where I think where the GMC just kind of falls short, because it is heavier, but the way that that truck makes power is just totally different. This is port injection, that's direct injection. Everyone says direct injection makes more power. I've yet to see that to be true. When it comes down to the way these engines put the power down, the HEMI wins without even a question. Even if this truck had an additional 1,000 pounds, I think it would still be the same scenario. This engine just makes the power so much better. But there are some negatives to this engine. I'm not going to sit here and talk up the HEMI as if it's the best ever, because it's not. Ford wins that one. The 7.3 is the best. It has port injection. It doesn't have multi-displacement like this engine, nor does that L8T have multi-displacement. So I don't know why Ram has continued on using that system. If you don't know what that means, it allows the engine to drop down to 4 cylinders basically. On a work truck like this, I don't know why anyone would ever want that on. The way you disable is by, you know, locking it out using a gear limiter, but why should I have to do that? Now, as far as this truck, there's some wind noise over here somewhere. I'm sure you guys can hear that. Make sure all the windows are up. Yeah, all the windows are up. The rear glass is slid closed. But yeah, there's some wind noise coming here. Both trucks definitely have some road noise from the tires. It's very apparent in both trucks. You can hear that howl from these more aggressive tires for sure. These seats are a little bit bigger, so they're a little bit more comfortable compared to the GMCs. I think that unless this cab is too small, the GMC is going to win every time with that. This cab is small. Even for me, I feel as though I would want a bigger cab for me personally. Hopefully you guys can see right there. We're like at like 1,800 to 1,900 RPMs at 70. I thought I pulled keys to a 373 Rebel, but maybe I didn't. I'll have to check when we get back, but yeah, it's definitely a little bit higher than that GMC. I am gonna break down all the numbers for the MPG and for the performance at the end of this video, so just watch it all the way through. Let's talk about pricing next, because I want to set the stage on how this video is going to go, starting with the Ram. This Ram has a base price of $68,645. Total price is $75,850. So it does have quite a few options. Now on this AT4, base price is $83,200. Total price is $95,725, which means if you just look at base price of these trucks, the GMC costs $14,555 more. When it comes down to the front end of these trucks, what comes as an option? Starting with the Ram. The only thing that you add on to this truck is that Sport Performance hood for the front end. That's it. These LED premium headlights come standard, front parking sensors standard. Of course, you're gonna have those black recovery hooks, and radar cruise control is standard too. As far as this GMC goes, the only thing that is an option on the front end is this front bumper. That's it. So this is the AEV bumper, and these skid plates are an option on the front end too. You would get a skid plate with the standard truck, however it's not this steel, more rugged one that you see on this one. This one also has the cast recovery hooks, front parking sensors, front camera. You guys see here, you can get that surround vision camera for this truck, but it is an option. The wheel and tire setup for the Ram is standard. These are the Goodyear Wrangler DuraTrack tires, LT 285/60/20, which is 33.5 inches tall and I believe 10.8 inches wide. For the GMC, this has the Goodyear Wrangler Territory MTs. This is going to be an LT 305/70/18. So this is basically 34.8 inches tall, 12 inches wide. So you have a meteor tire compared to this Ram. So Ram, they need to do some work with their wheel and tire setup. This is the exact same tire you can get on a regular Ram truck, just a different brand of tire. 20-inch wheel, which most people prefer the bigger wheel. I think having those 18s is just the way to go. Now, as far as the suspension goes, you do have independent front suspension, but this truck does have the DSSV, which is the dynamic suspension spool valve. It does have a additional oil reservoir. However, on the Ram, you just have a basic Bilstein shock. That's it. They give you a plastic liner versus that fabric. I do like the clearance lights and the wider stance you get on both trucks. Those power deployable running boards come standard. And by the way, these wheels are an option, but they're not much different from what you get. They're a different style, but they're not a huge selling point in my opinion compared to what comes standard. These rock rails are an option. I believe these lights on the front of these mirrors option, although they come standard here. And I like the fact that neither truck has a lot of chrome. The black door handles come a part of the 8V edition package too. These auto dimming mirrors are an option, although the heat is standard. Smart key system option here. It does come standard on the GMC. GMC has a larger cab, a way larger bed, and they do give you these steps. They have a larger fuel tank, 36-gallon fuel tank versus the 31-gallon for this one. By the way, if you're going off-road, this is a better suspension, but if you're planning on towing, this is a better suspension. So they give you the Bilsteins on all four corners for the Ram, but they give you the Multimatic on all four corners. That's a better suspension, 100%. And if you plan on towing, this is a better suspension for that too. And as I said, you do have the larger bed. This truck does have fifth wheel prep package. It does have an upgraded tailgate, and you have more off-road bumpers. Ram considers these off-road bumpers, but who are they kidding? They're not really. They're just an off-road look. Fifth wheel prep package. You guys see that it does have the 4 and 7 pin, 400 watts of power, but it is missing the bed lights, although you do have a light up there with a camera for the bed view and for the rear view mirror. On this truck, you have those lights that come standard, 400 watts of power, and GM just gives you a little bit more right here. So you're kind of seeing, right? The price goes up quite a bit simply because of all the extra stuff that this truck gives you. And it gets, I guess you can say, worse for the Ram simply because on this GMC, they do give you a full-size matching wheel and tire. 373 rear with the electronic locker. For the Ram, let's see what kind of spare tire they give you. If you get lost or if you get stuck somewhere with a flat tire, that's what they give you for an off-road truck, just saying. And this truck does have a standard 373 with electronic locker, 2 coils out back, and it does have 3 Bilsteins in the rear, which is notable. And they do give you LED lights here and there. GM just gives you LED tail lights, but not license plate lights. When it comes down to the powertrains, you would think the GMC would have this in the bag because they have the most updated gas engine. It's going to have 401 horsepower, 464 pound-feet of torque, and it is direct injection only. 10-speed transmission behind it, so the steps are closer, which is great for towing. Problem is, this HEMI has been around for a very long time, but it still has more horsepower at 405, although it is down on torque at 429. This is port injection. When you guys see the performance numbers, this engine just puts down the power so much better. The only negative thing is it does still use deactivation of cylinders. That's the only thing I don't like. Behind this engine is an 8-speed transmission known as the ZF, which is very reliable. We're still trying to figure out if this stamp-approved Allison is going to be bulletproof in the future. Come on, GM, help us out here. I own this truck. I need you guys to do better. And that's pretty much it. I think that both engines are fine. This one is just sluggish for some weird reason. Even if the truck was lighter, I've done other tests. I know people are going to complain in the comment section. If you're a GM fanboy, hey, I own a GMC. I'm not over here fanboying for anybody. Nobody's paying me. GM just needs to do better with this engine. That's it. They need to give it more horsepower. It just makes power differently compared to the HEMI. And normally, I would say GM does make really good engines. I think that the 6.2 liter is better than the 5.7 from Ram. I would even say the 5.3 is probably on par with the 5.7, just being honest here. But when it comes down to the 6.4, they could be lying about the horsepower numbers maybe, but it just puts down the power so much better. And it could be a lot to do with the gearing too. This is probably the only Ram truck, I will say, that can't compete interior wise with GM. If you are getting a base Rebel, it does come with cloth seats and a front bench. It wouldn't shock me if you lose this leather wrapped steering wheel too. Now you do get the gauge cluster here, 12-inch, and then 12-inch here, although they do have class leading 14.4 over that GM if this truck had it. Now, as far as pricing goes, I think that this truck can get up there in the mid 80s with the gas engine. But with the diesel, it can get close to $100,000 for sure. That truck can get up to like $105,000. HomeLink is an option. And yeah, heated and ventilated seats are an option. Those dual chargers option. There's just a lot of things that do come as an option on this truck. I like the fact that it does have like the downhill assist. And there's your locker, although it doesn't have four-wheel drive auto. This is the Slayer in this test, this interior. Even though I own this truck, if you're blind, that's the only way you will say the Ram beats this. There's just not a chance. Everything you see in this interior comes standard, except for that stitching there and these floor mats. That's it. But apart from that, you get these 16-way front seats with massage. You can adjust the bolstering and the shoulder support. Has the suede on the roof. They leather wrap the grab handles in this truck. It just has everything. It just has one wireless charger, dual climate control, heated and ventilated seats, 13.4-inch display, 12-inch display here, heads-up display. Can't get heads-up display in that Ram. Both trucks do have the 4K camera here and bed view. HomeLink comes standard. I mean, this is a better truck if you have the coin to spend. It's just expensive, and that's probably where I think Ram wins this test, simply because if you want the off-road truck, you can get it in base form. Although I can make the same argument for this GMC. This is an AT4X. They still have an AT4, which you can get pretty base, and it's probably more expensive still than the Ram, especially when you talk about discounts. But yeah, I think overall both trucks give you a lot for the money. I didn't even show you all the skid plates below this GMC. It has a skid plate for the transfer case, just like the Ram, although the Ram's is just a tiny one. It also has a skid plate for the transmission. Ram does not give you one in that area for that truck. But all in all, I think that if you have the money to spend, of course, who wouldn't take the GMC truck? But there is another truck available that I think would probably take the win here, which is the Power Wagon. If you're not looking to tow a trailer and you don't really need an HD truck, the Power Wagon is truly a purpose-built off-road truck. It gives you a front lift, it gives you the front rear lockers, it gives you axle disconnect on the front end, or no, not axle disconnect, sway bar disconnect too. And just a few other things is lift it, so it would look mean right with this truck, because this truck is higher for sure. This Ram has no lift, no difference in ride height, nothing. It's just a Ram with an appearance package with some nice off-road goodies, except a upgraded spare tire. But apart from that, It's all in what you're looking for. I think that an AT4 would be better suited against this truck, but I figured since I had 2 gas engine off-roaders, I would just compare them. Last thing I'm going to do obviously is show you guys the payload, and then I'll pretty much end the video. Gross axle weight rating out front for the GMC is 5,200 pounds. The rear is 6,600 pounds. Gross fuel core rating is going to be 10,850 pounds. All-in payload is 2,802 pounds. And it does show you the towing capacity for the trucks. 45 psi for the tire pressure, 55 in the rear. Ram's front gross axle weight rating is actually higher at 5,500 pounds. The rear, 6,170 pounds. So good for a winch on the front end. You have a little bit more capacity, but out back if you're towing, it's worse on this truck. 10,000 GVWR, 20x8 wide wheels, and this will shock a few people here. 2,768 pounds of payload. Tire pressure 65 out front, 70 in the rear. We just pulled back in. Goodness gracious. 12.9 MPG, 12.4 miles driven. Let's see what that Ram does. 14.7 MPG. I think this is probably the toughest test I've ever done because I don't really know who clearly won this. And here's what I'll tell you. I like the 6.4 liter HEMI better. I like the ZF transmission. The GMC is so sluggish. I don't know what it is at these higher elevations. If I were doing this at sea level, I think that this would have done better. But this HEMI just makes power differently. Now, I know that the HEMI Ram configuration is lighter than this truck. You guys are going to see that here. The problem is, if this truck had more weight, it would still be faster. I think it would still be faster. It's just the way that truck puts the power down. The direct injection should help it a little bit, but yeah, the power outputs, they're almost comparable, and the Ram just does a better job. The only negative thing is the MDS. That's really it. But I like the port injection better than the direct injection. I like the fact that you can get a factory winch on this truck, right? And you have the Power Wagon too. So the Power Wagon, if you're not looking to tow, that's the way to go 100% for an off-road truck. But again, even if you get the level 2 equipment group, and when you start really pricing out these trucks, if you get a diesel for this one, this is the clear winner. If you're getting a diesel and you're going to be pricing these trucks about the same, I would pick the GMC. The GMC is a clear winner here. You have way more axle rating out back for towing. You have just, I think, the best payload you can possibly have for a truck that's built out like this. And it has that look. I love these bumpers. You get them front and rear. These bumpers are like overbuilt too. They're like powder coated, and I think that they're like something else. I think that they're powder coated and something. They're just overbuilt bumpers. And Ram is just kind of this rolling with a factory bumper with just a matted finish on it, and that's it. But as far as the skid plates go, you have way more skid plate protection under the truck on this side versus this one. And yeah, I think that if I were going off of price, yes, Ram won this 100%. But if I was going off of just, hey, I'm not really worried about price as much, I just want the best truck, I think the GMC Sierra 2500 AT4X is the best all-around truck, for sure. Now, I think this truck's gonna do better off-road because of the weight. But this truck is just, it's the cooler one of the two, I think. You can see that even for the ground clearance, big ground clearance, bigger tires. Yeah, I think that Ram has some work to do. The larger cab, the larger bed, there's just a lot of pros that you get with the GMC. But again, for price and for what you're getting in the package of the Ram, and the fact that you can get the truck for under 70 grand, 100% the Ram definitely wins that. And I think the 6.4 liter HEMI was better too. Let me know you guys' thoughts in the comment section. I can't really truly pick an actual clear winner here. I don't really know which one I would pick, guys. I'd have to see these trucks apples to apples, and hopefully in the future, if I have a chance, I'll do that.